Hello and welcome back to Monster Hunter Wilds. It's the beta. And in this live stream of Monster Hunter Wilds, one of the last days, I think there may be one more day, but I'm not going to be able to play it for the beta until the full release of the game. Today we're doing something special. At least to me. I'm going to give my personal take. I mean, beep, 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 warning, warning, personal opinion alert, personal opinion alert. I'm going to be going through each of the major monsters that you get a chance to fight in Monster Hunter Wilds. And as I'm fighting them, kind of give a review of a couple of categories, like how player friendly is this, difficulty level, abilities, and just kind of a general review of what I think about these monsters and how well they fit into the Monster Hunter franchise and so on. And as far as like my very first just review, absolutely every single one of these monsters belong in Monster Hunter Wilds. There's none that are like obtrusively like I would like, oh man, this doesn't belong in this universe. I believe all of them do. There is one, however, that I'm like, it can go away. But we'll get to that one, I'm sure. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and get prepped. I'm going to get in this thing. We're going to get prepped. Alright, make sure we got all of our beautiful potions. Yes, beautiful potions. We got our barrels. We got our shock and pitfall traps. We don't need. I don't ever use the fucking ghillie mantle, but it's there. Don't care about these mushrooms. Don't care about the ivy. Need the thing. Here heals you and anyone nearby. Should use that more often when we're in group activities. Don't. I guess we can't actually get rid of that. But that's fine. Ooh, and this here. I don't think I use this either. No. So, yeah, there we go. Less shit to siphon through and cycle through. What is this? A sunfish. A sushi fish scale. Okay. In any case, so, okay. Next item. I don't think I need to change any equipment. Everything's good. Yep, that's fine. Grill a meal. Absolutely. Get our favorite meal going. Meat. Mushrooms. Sizzle, dizzle, whizzle, kizzle. Shablam! And then we top it off with that glizzy glaze. Yeah. Oh, yes. Delicious. Oh. Speaking of delicious, my character, Rita, is delicious. Okay. Got our meal. We're good there. We're good. We're fantastic. So, the first monster that we are going to be targeting is the Chatacabra. It is the first monster that you encounter, the first one in the zone. You know, I'm making an assumption because when we go to the quest giver, right, we have optional quests. The Chatacabra is the first one on the list, and it's a 2-star. So these seem to be interchangeable, but I'd rather see it go Chatacabra Balahara than Doshoguma, and then Gycerops. Well, yeah, I'd rather see that the Gycerops up over here, and then the Raydao, and then Arkveld. But nonetheless, the Chatacabra.
I'll be waiting here.
So we got one in the overworld, so we don't have to do the quest or anything like that. So before we engage the monster, we're just kind of gonna give it a good look in detail of it. You know, just kind of be like a biological or a zoological outlook on this creature, how it kind of fits into this area, this zone, and what I think, and does it actually belong in Monster Hunter Wilds or just the Monster Hunter franchise in general? Like I already said, they all do. They absolutely do. They fit the design, they fit the narrative, they all do the things that Monster Hunter fans and people have come to expect from the zoological standpoint of these creatures, these monsters, if you will. And so, absolutely, I believe they belong. So the Chatacabra is an interesting one because it's the one that is like the most amphibian-like. We're not going to rush up on this guy. The thing about the Chatacabras, they seem to be more of a cave dweller. Oh, there's 2 of them. Okay. They seem to be more of a cave dweller. They like the cooler places. They have this amphibian-esque aura about them. They definitely have like toad or frog-like skin, you know, like a pelagic animal, absorb things through their skin. They have a huge tongue. Their saliva, they coat their arms in saliva, and then it's super sticky. So that's a very much a lizard or amphibian trait to have. And then with that stickiness that they put on their arms, they roll around in whatever substrate that they find themselves in, and they put it on their arms, and it acts as additional armor and does additional damage when using an attack. Now, as far as like their anatomy, like they kind of walk like a gorilla. They have a very primate type of walk to them, which makes them interesting, and I would say other than being a lizard, they're probably more mammalian. As you see there, he's coating the ground with his tongue. Maybe he's searching for food or something like that. Not sure exactly what it's doing, but so in the reality of things, it might be a mammal. I don't know exactly the taxonomy of these creatures and what, you know, type of organs and stuff like that they have. I'm sure there's a book on it and stuff. But as far, and he's really looking at me, he's probably wondering why I'm in his territory. But they're obviously non-aggressive. They really kind of just do their thing. I don't know if, clearly I think they're probably omnivorous, meaning that they eat minerals. They probably, you know, licking the walls and stuff like that of this cave, getting salt and calcium, and of course eating other smaller animals and stuff too. Clearly they have a great... Oh, he left. Wow, they're sneaky too, apparently. Oh, he already went up there. That's crazy.
I gathered some materials too. Check your seconds pouch.
But they clearly do venture out into the wilds here. Yeah, so this one's being attacked. And we can kind of see how they attack. They use their tongue. I'm sure it's like an incredibly powerful tongue, a lot of muscle in the tongue area. And again, it's sticky, and they're very powerful. And so they are definitely one of the mid-range predators of this area. Those I don't know what the hell those were called, but they're definitely like more of like a coyote, in my opinion. They scavenge off of what the larger predators are able to do. But because of their docile nature, I really don't believe that these Chatacabras are just, you know, they're not out for blood. They're not out to hunt bigger prey. Like, I'm interesting to it. Like, it keeps looking at me, but it's not engaging me because I think it's just like, oh, I don't really care. Now, here's a lizard aspect of it. It seems to be sunbathing. So, really, reptiles, you know, obviously in the wild and just real life in general, they will take a basking spot, which this is a perfect basking spot, and they'll use that temperature to warm up their bodies. So, maybe they're like a half and half. Like, they have, I'm not sure if it's called an endothermic regulatory system where they can produce their own heat, but they produce it through eating. They have to eat to produce heat, and if they're not eating, they have to come out and actually sunbathe out here. So this is such a unique creature. Like I said, it absolutely belongs in the Monster Hunter world, and he's very suspicious because I actually do plan to engage him, so he should be very suspicious of me. Now, as far as the sexing of these, I think it's impossible to tell what is a male, what is a female. I don't know if Monster Hunter actually does this at all, if there's any traits that will distinct a male and a female at all. But nonetheless, so obviously you can walk around with ease. This terrain is fine. I think it belongs in this zone. So this is another thing too, is like, does this creature belong in the area that we find it in? I think it does. Maybe its skin, and because it has an amphibious type of anatomy to it, it probably retains water really well. And clearly there's an oasis and stuff like that around here, but for the most part there's not a whole lot of water. There is a river system and stuff, so there is water nearby. But just in its general location of where these are typically found, the caves, which are cool and wet, and then of course outside is dry and hot. They have a way to retain moisture, and I think they do that through their skin like an amphibian would. And then of course, you know, they warm themselves up in the sun, and so on and so forth. So that's they absolutely belong in this environment. I think they are very well thought out. These are great creatures to add into any environment and habitat, and I think they belong just fine. So, fighting them. This, of course, in my opinion, and as it dictates, you know, a 2-star difficulty level, is the perfect monster for people to engage. So I'm going to go ahead and engage this, and we're going to go step by step on how it fights. Okay, so first and foremost, its defensive stat. It's very angry. It's already wiping the saliva on its forelimbs there because it knows that it needs to be defensive and you know, it needs to attack. I'm not sure what that spit actually does. I don't think walking in it slows me down. Clearly, it likes using its tongue. I think the tongue is one of the most muscular parts of its body. Had to dodge out of that. Charging with the tongue, that's definitely an interesting aspect of charging with the tongue. As you can see, the movements of this are very slow. I can just simply walk out of the way of most things. I don't really have to dodge anything, so using its brute strength there, I think its forearms are very heavy. They're very muscular, but obviously has a preference to the tongue. So as far as a beginner engaging this, clearly I'm in no danger. I don't feel like I'm in danger at all. This is something that is a perfect beginner monster to do things with. Now, like I said, dodging it is trivial. It really shouldn't take too much. The weak spot is also behind it. Pretty much, it doesn't matter what you as a beginner are going to do. The weak spots on this creature are going to be pretty much everywhere and hittable with all weapons. So, you know, I'm obviously not going too serious with this. I'm just, like, trying to figure out, like, how difficult is it to get out of the way? How difficult is it to fight this monster with just the, like, you don't know anything with your weapon. You have no idea what you're doing. This is probably one of the first fights you're going to have in this zone. Now, granted, this zone is the first zone, at least I believe it should be the first zone. When you start your main storyline with Monster Hunter. Now, another thing about this monster, and I'm going to let it hit me. That one right there is one of the few knockbacks that it does. But most other things that it do, he's very mad. That one will knock me back. This one will knock me back too. But see, I don't have to actually dodge it. And the tongue doesn't really do anything per se. I mean, this is just a very easy monster. Like, making beginner mistakes is very much allowed on this. I mean, again, I'm not taking this seriously at all. Opening up wounds, I think, also is very easy to do. That might be a tribute to how thin its hide might be. There might be some thicker areas, I think, where you see most of the thorns, like along its sides of the body. That would be an area that's a little thicker. But the forearms seem to be very well armored, and they take a little longer to actually, you know, do anything to and create wounds on it. Also, its roars don't really do anything to you as well. It doesn't stun you. Yeah, like I said, this is a very trivial thing. One flurry. I'm actually, before I'm even done with my flurry, I've already opened the wounds on the Chattacabra. So, as far as a punching bag for players, this is the perfect monster. This will, and I'm not sure exactly how much you might be hearing because the background music and noise and the fighting actually kind of gets in the way of talking sometimes. So, to recap, just in case you didn't hear anything of that, for beginners, it's the perfect monster. It's a punching bag. This is really what this is. This is a punching bag. This allows you to get your combinations off. It allows you to be able to engage this monster. However, it requires no effort whatsoever to dodge its attacks. Requires no effort to do the things, and is incredibly forgiving on how you conduct battle with it. And another token to this is that Chupacabras, you can beat them in a very short period of time. I've beaten these monsters sub 3 minutes, right? Going, of course, full out on the Chupacabra. I think the 40-minute timer, you know, that's kind of a little prowess to their strength, right? He just destroyed that rock. But as far as the damage that they do, it's very light. When they actually do hit you, most of their attacks do not knock you back and does minor damage. As you see my health bar there, I got attacked like once or twice, and I actually got attacked with one of its more destructive attacks, which is this one right here that's doing, because that causes knockback and all sorts of things. But again, this is such an easy target. It likes to leap like a frog sometimes too. So definitely, like, in my personal opinion, a good combination of mammalian and amphibian and maybe even like reptilian, you know, taxonomy here. So it's really cool monster. I really like and enjoy this one. And as far as, like, again, as a beginner, this is a perfect monster to train on. In fact, I think it's one of the easiest. It's one of the easiest beginner monsters that I've ever versed in any Monster Hunter game, ever. It's incredibly to keep it knocked down, too. You know, now I'm taking it a little faster than normal because I think we've pretty much talked about this one enough. Yeah, see, like, it did some damage to me with that, but it's nothing to write home about. I can keep going, and this is not an issue. Try to cheese, and you can cheese a lot of these ones. Like, I mean, look at that. Like, I didn't really take this too seriously. I was incredibly slow with it, and look how much time I have left in the top right corner there. Ton of time, ton of time. So, people who've never played Monster Hunter before and getting into this game, the Chupacabra is absolutely the just easiest thing to learn combat on without taking a whole lot of time. I think this is a very respectful monster as far as to a new player. The only drawback to this monster is that, at least in my personal opinion at this point in time, the materials. Let's see what we get for rewards. Yeah, I mean, a lot of rewards on this one. I didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to do that either. Get me off this thing. I was going to go over the rewards, but it looked like it was mostly parts from the monster itself. There wasn't any extra rewards or things that are outside of what you can get from this Chupacabra. So what I'm basically getting at is that these materials are going to be useless very early on. I don't see them going to have much worth to them whatsoever. They're going to be good to getting your first weapon upgrades, your first armor upgrades. Clearly, there's a ton of items that I got from just this one Chupacabra. And like I said, once you get familiar with your weapon system, you learn your combos, you learn everything about, you know, yourself and how you're going to conduct yourself as a hunter, you can absolutely just destroy these things within 5 minutes comfortably, under 4 minutes, 3 minutes even. You know, if you're in the 2 minute plus area, you're really rocking these things and you're definitely ready to go to your next step. I would say if you sub 5 minutes the Chupacabra, you're ready to go take on the Dashugama and the Balahara respectively. And so, yes, my final review of the Chatacabra, it absolutely belongs in Monster Hunter Wilds. The taxonomy, zoology, biology of these creatures are wonderful. They're unique. They're cool. I really don't know of other creatures in the franchise other than maybe the Great Jaguarus or that kind of have and resemble this like more mammalian reptile, but this really captures a missing link of amphibian, reptile, and mammal, all in one creature. Fantastic design, and it's really cool. So good job, and I absolutely love it, and it's the perfect beginner monster. So we're gonna make our way back to the base. No, I need to flip this around. There we go. Now, this is where it's going to be like more of a personal opinion on where I'd rank these next two monsters. So let's go over to our lady, which is not here. I guess she's getting off the thing. Let's see how many more minutes we have of our meal. I don't think I can actually check that. Can I check that? I haven't really thought about checking it, but it looks like I still have. Looks like, yeah, I have all my food skills still. I know they last like 50 minutes. I don't really see anything where I can like check that, but nonetheless, so let's continue on.
Work.
So, according to this, right, both of these are level 2 star. Like, you know, they're in the next difficulty up of Chatacabra. Completely agree with this. They are absolutely harder than the Chatacabra. Now they give themselves a strength rating. You know, the Dashugama is strength 4, and then the Balahara is strength 3. Really? The only way that a Dashugama is strength 4 is if you're hunting the alpha itself. The alpha is definitely harder, hits harder, is a little bit harder to deal with than a normal Dashugama. So, you know, but in relatively fact, I think both of these are pretty balanced between the two. And so, like, which one should... So, you just graduated from the Chatacabra. You're doing 5 minutes, like 50 minutes. Like, 50 minutes is so long to do this. If you're not killing this thing within 5 minutes, you need to get to that point. Once you get to the point of 5 minutes with the Chatacabra, then you should be looking into either fighting a Dashugama or a Balahara. Now, I wouldn't suggest attacking a pack at first unless you're very familiar with your flash pods, or in this case, utilizing a dung pod to separate the herd out. Finding a single Dashugama, and not an alpha, just a single Dashugama, would be my next suggestion. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and see if there's one in the overworld right now. Pop open that map. There is, right here. That one's a strength 4, so that's actually a little higher difficulty. That's a strength 3. So let's go ahead and meet up with this one here. And then we're going to take a look at the Dashugama and talk about its taxonomy, zoology, and just if it fits into the Monster Hunter world and if it fits in this environment. So the Chatacabra, just to cap off that review, absolutely belongs in Monster Hunter. Absolutely belongs in this environment. Is completely at home in the zones that it finds itself in, and I see no issues. And it's a perfect beginner monster to engage with, and obviously it's the one that you will be engaging with. Now, I'm going to keep my distance from this Dashugama because they are aggressive. They will turn on you. They will absolutely engage you if you get too close. So they are the first aggressive monster. I think the Balaharas are the same. I would have to... We're going to verify this before too long. But the Dashugama, they travel in packs, but they are solitary. We're actually going to see a little bit of a fight here because Balaharas and Dashugamas tend to clash with each other a lot. I think the problem with both of these beasts... Jeez, the pizza just got swallowed up. I think the problem with both of these beasts are the fact that they are fairly large. the Chatacabra is not that big, and yes, this is a fairly large zone, but the areas that you find Dashugama and Balahara, they're fairly large animals, and they have a conflict with each other very regularly. Especially when the Balahara, typically they roam this desert area, as you see one in the distance there. They prefer the sand, and there's of course reasons why, but we're not on the Balahara yet, we're on the Dashugama. So that one just got sunk into this pit here, which he should be down here. So we're going to make our way down here and continue to talk. Now, they're fully furred, they're furly furred. Desert-dwelling mammals, it seems like. And the thing about that is, they do have a rear end that is, you know, mostly just skin and hide. So maybe that helps them with cooling down. I really don't know what the fur is truly about. If we're looking at the zoology, the biology of this creature, if you think about like African savanna animals and just animals that live out there, even lions, you know, lions have manes as far as the males are concerned. But, you know, they only cover a very small portion of the body. The rest of their fur is super short. I mean, it's practically just lifted off the skin just a little bit. This, to me, seems a little bit more woolly than what this environment would actually call for. But at the same time, I think it is okay. I think it's appropriate because it does have, I would say, very short, naked skin on the monster itself. Of which, yeah, see, so we got a little too close. Now, I don't know if these are sight predators or not, where, you know, I've pretty much been out of sight for this time, but definitely doesn't like me in this territory. So, yeah, they definitely are aggressive. They will engage you. The good part about Monster Hunter Wilds, though, is that you can run away from these if you want to. You don't have to stick around and fight them. They are just, they're angry, big lion bears. They prefer to use their claws. They're incredibly powerful. And so this is one of the more difficult ones. Of course, as far as I said, it's like a Challenge 2 from the Challenge 1 Chatacabra. And there's definitely a good reason for it. So we are going to go ahead and engage this and see how the fight goes. And now I'm going to give a combat synapse after the battle, because a lot of times my voice gets lost in combat due to the music and just combat itself. So again, we will do a combat review after. my goodness, 3 of them? Holy cow. We're gonna talk about that after this fight too. Holy cow. Quite an interesting fight, huh? much different than the Chatacabra. And again, we'll review afterwards. That was unfortunate. Whew. That was actually a fight. Wow. Oh my goodness. Alright. What to say about the Doshugama? So as you've seen battling it, completely different animal than the Chupacabra. Takes significantly longer to kill one of these. Let's see what we did on time. Yeah, whew, yeah. Go ahead and wipe your brow, girl. That was rough. 12 minutes and 36 seconds. So, almost triple the time that it takes to kill a Chupacabra. So let's recap on the biology and taxonomy of this. I mean, huge, giant, crushing jaws. I would say a pretty significant furry mane. Some scaled and light fur throughout the body. Very bear-like. It's like crossing a lion and a bear and a mammoth all into one. Pretty fucking terrifying creature. Does it belong in this zone? I say it would, and does. I don't think that... I think something this aggressive, something this hardy, something this strong and tough is required to live in an environment like this. Like, this is not a forgiving place. And as we've seen with it having that bout with the Balaharas, its immense strength and girth and ability with just knowing it knows how strong it is more than capable of fending off pretty much any other predator. I would say that the Doshugama is the apex of this zone. And that's why I find it hard to really place them at when should a player actually engage these, because really, again, if you watch the Chupacabra combat, it's trivial. It is the Chupacabra is a punching bag. It is something that you learn on. You don't even really have to actively dodge. You can simply walk out of the way of most of the Chutacabra's attacks, and it's not a problem. I think it's the perfect beginner. But here's might be the first problem with this zone. Going from the Chupacabra to the Doshugama is a huge skill swing. What you've seen there, and I'm pretty familiar with my dual blades at this point in time, and so I can pull off my combos, I can dodge pretty well. This, for a beginner player, is going to kill them multiple times. I, in fact, was in danger some of the times because these have such a huge area of attack, and of course their brute strength is so strong that they can rip up the ground and just pop debris at you. They can also throw other monsters at you. I mean, they clearly had no problem throwing the Balahara around. It was like a toy to them, like a rag doll. So, you know, for you to engage this is almost a death sentence. However, so this is why I put the Doshugama up above the Balahara. Also, as you notice, getting wounds on this creature is not easy. The hide is incredibly thick. It takes multiple upon multiple upon multiple attacks in certain areas, and that's me doing combinations on this creature in order to open up those wounds so I can get those vital extra combo attacks, that grappling hook, spinning blade down the spine of the creature, which of course helps open up new wounds and things as time goes on. But as you're probably understanding, this requires you to have knowledge of your character, requires you to have a good grasp on your weapon and your combination skills, and it also requires you to have good timing and dodge capabilities, and also requires you to understand the use of your Sacred. You've seen me use my Sacred multiple upon multiple times during this engagement, because there is just certain times when I have to give myself a cooldown, whether that be getting a potion out to fix my health, or using my whetstone, being able to run around in circles, which is hella awesome. It's the first time Monster Hunter has ever introduced this mechanic where I can actually move while using the whetstone. Fucking big W for Monster Hunter. The ability for me to re-engage this monster as I see fit is something that is absolutely paramount to your success in engaging a Dashugama. So as far as going from a Chatacabra to this, I would actually preface that you fight a Balahara first before you engage a Dashugama. This wasn't even the alpha. This is just a normal one. The alphas are worse. So that's why I wanted to pick on a normal Dashugama first before we went to an alpha. I don't think we're going to verse an alpha because you get the idea. It's pretty much the same concept. It does the same thing, same abilities. It's just bigger, meaner, stronger, and harder to defeat. So, yeah, this is a Monster Hunter monster for sure. It absolutely belongs in the wild. It belongs in this zone, no questions asked. One of the more curious things I find about this is its tail, of which I don't even know if it's really a tail or if it's just an extension of the mane. I don't know. It seems to wave in the wind more like just a, like having a ponytail almost, like what my character has. Like that's how the tail seems to be on the Dashugama. I don't really know if it's an actual tail or not. It doesn't seem like it acts like one, and if we look at the go back here and look at the rear end, there isn't like a skin. Like sometimes you'll see skin that's attached underneath the tail because that's it's an extension of the vertebra on the animal. That's what tails are. They're extensions of the spinal cord. This doesn't have that, which is interesting to me. I don't understand what the reasoning of that would be, or what the point of that would be. I would actually believe that it would stop, right about where my character's head is where the hair should probably stop on this, but it keeps going. It is what it is. It's a unique feature of this animal. But like I said, as far as it belonging in this environment, I absolutely agree. It belongs here. Should a beginner player engage this monster? No. No, this goes right back to what I was saying. It absolutely requires you to have knowledge of your weapon, how to engage and disengage, and how to dodge. Which, that's the core mechanics. This monster here, the Dashugama, is absolutely a core mechanics check. Do you know your weapon? Do you know your dodge? Do you know how to use your sacred? If you can check mark all three of those, you're good. Now, I have subbed 10 minutes on the Dashugama before, taking it absolutely seriously and, hammering my combinations and so on and so forth. And, I made a few mistakes, and that's just going to happen. You can't predict absolutely everything with these animals, so it's definitely not beginner friendly. So I would not, in any regard, for someone who isn't familiar with their weapon or any of those three categories I just talked to you about, your sacred, your engage and disengage, and your weapon knowledge, don't touch the Dashugama yet. That being said, let's go back to base. We ran out of our meal. And this is another thing, too, for beginners. Make sure you get your meals in. Make sure you are always topped up on food after every hunt. I don't care if it says, oh, you got 50 minutes. You got 50 minutes of this food. You might be out there exploring and stuff, and you run into something interesting like you take time with, and that 50 minutes goes away very quickly. Absolutely goes very quickly. And also, do not forget to top up on your potions. You absolutely need them at all times. And that's pretty much it. If anything, always top up on your potions. And then, of course, going to your meal. Now, the great thing about Monster Hunter, as far as definitely with wilds, you can do a recommended meal if you want. Luckily, the recommended meal is actually what I usually make. But you can do a custom meal, so you can absolutely do whatever you need to do or want. For beginners, I would suggest either doing the meat or the fish. Elemental resistances at this point in time mean nothing to you, shouldn't mean anything to you. I preface attack, which is meat, and of course it's a pretty easy thing to conceptualize. The more damage I'm doing, the faster I can actually, kill the animal. So, doing a meat, Then you have these two options. Now, granted, of course, once you get into the main game, once it finally releases, you will have more options for food down the road. But for what we got right now, you know, this right here reduces stamina depletion. This is perfect for dual blade users because dual blade users use stamina like nobody's business. It is actually the whole reason I can do the combinations that I can do is because I have really good stamina management. So the fact that this helps me with that, we obviously need to use the Drool Shroom. And then the finishing touches, kind of do whatever you want, but these two really don't mean too much to me. Lessens the effects of a variety of ailments, so maybe getting poisoned would be a little better for you or something like that. The sizzling meal negates the effects of hot or cold climates. That has nothing to do with the area that we're in. We're not subjected to hot or cold, at least in the beta. Maybe with the full release of the game, you will be subjected to these in this zone. I mean, this is a hot and cold zone. At night, it probably gets fucking cold. And obviously, during the day, it's really fucking hot. So maybe they're hinting at you that this Monster Chili is probably something that you might need to invest in with the full release. But with beta, this doesn't exist, so it's useless. You want to use the Eastern Honey. No matter what meal you do, use the Eastern Honey. Increases the amount of health recovered when healing. So your baseline potions are, of course, including your Mega Potion, give you more health. So you can actually get more out of your potions when you are engaging monsters and are out into the field. And man, does that look delicious. Delicious. Yes, delicious. So we are now all mealed up. Let's get out there and talk about you know, and see, like I said, this is why I don't really agree with this lineup, because I'm just taking it at face value. Absolutely, the strength of this being a level 4 and this one a level 3, I absolutely agree with that. The Dashugama has more attacks, and practically most of the attacks that they do will knock you back, will knock you off your feet, and are also pretty hard to dodge because they are very, they're just brute force, and it's a wide area of attack. The Balahara is different. They are also hard to dodge because they're a more technical monster. This is brute strength, this is technical. And so let's go and find a Balahara and start talking about it. Let's see here. Balahara, there's one. Beautiful. I love traversing Monster Hunter Wilds. I love traversing on the Sacred. It is such a good monster, or good mount. Such a great addition to the game. It really feels open world, of which, of course, you know, it's still a little linear. If we look at the map, you know, there's still things that create paths. So this is pretty open up here. But for the most part, this is pretty Monster Wild-esque, but it is bigger than normal. So, looks like the Balahara is coming our way. Or unless that's a new one. I think that's the new one that popped up. We're after the one that's over here. I think that's the one that's a little stronger. That's something also that you're going to have to be aware of, that monsters will have different star ratings. So if we look at this one, you see that it's 3. But if we go to this one, it's 4. Be careful. Be careful when you are, even the Chupacabras can be a strength 3 or 4. Just depends on how rare the monster is. Now, I don't remember if these are aggressive, and we will see here before too long if they are, but very unique monster to this area. Completely different in almost every way to everything that we've seen. Everything has been pretty believable at this point, right? The Chupacabra, it's believable. It's a reptile, mammal, amphibian, all put into one. The Dashugama, pure mammal. Absolutely pure mammal. A Balahara? I don't know what the fuck it is. Is it a lizard? Is it a dragon, a drake? You know, what exactly is a Balahara? I don't know. Is it a mammal? It's very hard to tell. From the way that it behaves, I would say more lizard-like. I would say, like, corkscrewing like this is definitely a reptile trait. So I would think it probably would fall into the literal sense of a worm. which is a type of dragon, subspecies of dragon. And worms are definitely notorious for doing very ground things. They don't usually have wings. So I would definitely believe that the Balahara fits into the worm category. Subspecies of dragon, very earth-dwelling. And not saying that it is not strong, but definitely fits into this. So the other thing is you notice that its scales in its body are corkscrewed. And as we've seen it traversing through the sand, oh nice, I fell asleep. So I'll just go ahead and get off here. As we've seen it traversing through the sand, it goes in the corkscrew fashion. Very interesting. I don't know how it stays like oriented with itself. You know, oh, there's a second one. Okay. So we might not engage until that one leaves the area, which, yeah, I don't know. Interesting to say the least. But, yeah, very interesting creatures. Looks like they're both sleeping in this area. But that allows us to talk about them a little bit more. So yes, the corkscrew design, that's how they traverse under the sand. They're definitely in the sandy environment. They do not leave that, so I would assume that they're not strong enough to get through dirt or other harder sediments, and especially rock. They are weaker. They're definitely, as far as like their strength category, I would say they're probably on par with the Chupacabra as far as their strength. But what they make up, what they lack in strength, they make up for in their technicality. And one of the more dangerous features of a Balahara is its oil spitting. Very strong. It's a very strong attack. It's very quick with it. It's kind of like being sprayed with ink from a squid. It is annoying. It's ranged. It's the first time that you're going to have a true ranged attacker when you face these monsters. They are also kind of hard to dodge, but not entirely. So now this is waking up, so we're going to see if this is aggressive. I don't know if they're aggressive or not. I don't think they are. Yeah, so they burrow into the sand, and I love the sand mechanics. So it just raised us off the ground here. So it's so cool. They really did a great job with the sand. They did a great job in the environment in general. I cannot wait to see what other environments they find themselves in, that we find ourselves in as hunters. Very cool. And you know, observing the monsters like this and talking about them makes you a better hunter too. This is something that Monster Hunter games have always done. It makes you wonder about the monster. It makes you try to understand where they're coming from, so on and so forth. Now, I don't know what they eat. They clearly will attack other bigger monsters, as we've seen when they're attacking the Dashugama. But I don't know if that's because it's a territorial thing. They don't like things in their territory that are possibly a threat to them. They clearly have some pretty gnarly teeth. And so I don't know what they feed on. I haven't seen them. Like, you would think that they might feed on like these armadillos and stuff. And maybe that might be the case. I don't know. It's just sitting underneath the sand there. I have never seen a Balahara feed. So it is just, yeah, it's doing its thing. But as we're going to engage this guy. Like I said, he's not aggressive in any way, shape, or form. There's another one there, so we're going to wait for that to disappear. Okay, they are aggressive. Okay, barely had enough of me running around. So they are aggressive, but they take a little longer to piss off. I don't like the fact that there's two of them. We really don't want to engage two. So we're going to lead him away a little bit. And now we're going to get an idea of what these are capable of doing. See, those are incredibly hard to dodge. I knew it was coming. And it's just something that a new player is going to have difficulty figuring out. Alright, this is also a problem, because he's going to leap at you. Most of the time they seem to jump over top of you, and you got to be careful of the spitball. Yes. They love using their oil. They love it. They also love using their tail. They love using their tail. And they are kind of hard to dodge, but I find myself in animation locks a lot of the time. They're much quicker in their attacks than a Dashugama.
A supply shipment's coming. Hope you find something useful.
But like I said, we'll probably talk more about this once we are done with any engagements. Get that dodge off. Pretty good engagement with that. Good engagement with the Balahara so far. Again, we will review the battle once it's over. Animation locked. Not good. There we go. Nice. That was actually very good. That was a great encounter with the Balahara. Probably one of the best I've ever had. So that's great. I'm glad I was able to showcase that and show you what you can do when you get your combinations and your dodging and everything in order. Made a few mistakes, of course. Again, those oil spits are very quick. They can be powerful, and of course they will always knock you down. But let's see how much time it took compared to the Doshoguma. 6 minutes and 45 seconds. So half the time. It took half the time than it did the Doshuguma. And rightfully so. One, I was actually doing my combat very well. Again, a little pat on my back for that one. I will take full credit for doing pretty well with that fight. The Doshuguma, though, I mean, I still was doing pretty good with fighting. I made more mistakes with it, but still, it took double the time than this one did. So what do we learn from this? As you have seen, this is a more technical monster. Has ranged attacks, both using its tail and its oil spits, and you know, has pretty good traversal, but it is much slower, in my opinion, than the Doshuguma. And of course, its normal attacks that it does against you doesn't necessarily knock you back, or for very long if it does. It does prefer to use its tail most of the time than biting with its front end. So which goes to tell me that his tail just has more power behind it. And so, yeah, there you go. So as far as, you know, beginners are concerned with this thing, this is what you should upgrade from the Chupacabra. So your engagement in this area should go Chupacabra, Balahara, then Doshuguma. Or Doshaguma. Goma. I'm probably pronouncing that fucking thing wrong all the damn time. Nonetheless, the reason being is, one, the attacks from this are much more recoverable. They don't do as much damage because they don't have a whole lot of strength behind them. And as you've seen, their hide is much easier to damage and create wounds. I also believe that you wound this thing much more. You can see there's a wound spot here, a wound spot there. There's a wound spot on the head. There's wound spots on each of the legs, so there's 4 wound spots there. A wound spot on the back, a wound spot on the hind quarter, wound spot on the tail, and there's also 2 wound spots. So like you can really explore this animal with your attacks and really get more focused with your weapon, to why I firmly believe that this is a second monster that you should be engaging in this zone. This is what's going to get you more familiar. It's going to give you good training on your dodging capabilities. It's going to give you good training on maximizing your weapon potential, getting you more familiar with the weapon of choice that you've made. And really, I didn't have to disengage with the Secret too much. The only time that I disengaged with the Secret is to use my whetstone. That's it, just to make sure that I was back up to maximum sharpness before re-engaging the Balahara. There really wasn't any time other than when it comes out of the ground like that, when it was doing its hop-ups, where it goes under the ground and pops back up, and like, you know, like a dolphin breaching the water. You know, that's obviously when it's like, you know, that's what you should be using the Secret for, because that just helps you get out of dodge a little quicker. I don't think I've actually been in this section before. I don't even know where this goes. So pretty cool. You know, there's a lot of things to discover in this zone too, like a lot of underground caverns that some people might not be aware of. The Balahara will definitely take you to those areas whether you like it or not. Definitely in the form of sand pits, which I believe that the sand pits, as we've seen with that Doshuguma, got you know, ate up that first time when we went to engage it. I feel like that's like one of the primary ways that it likes to feed on larger animals, or just animals in general. Again, I've never watched it feed in the wild, so I don't really know what it eats. It may mostly, because looking at its mouth, it may mostly survive on siphoning the sand for small animals such as insects, crustaceans, depending on the area zone. I mean, you know, there's sand crabs in the game, so that can be a thing. It's not out of the ordinary to say crustaceans. And I mean, maybe it might be cannibalistic too. A smaller Balahara may prey on just smaller animals in general, and it just sifts through the sand. Now, both of these creatures I didn't mention, the Chatacabra, when it decides to roar, essentially, it doesn't do anything to you. The Doshaguma, I'm always going to mispronounce it, and the Balahara, their roars actually will stun you. So they're the first monsters that you will encounter in the game where it will stun your character briefly when it roars. That's, that right there will get you used to. Now you can dodge roars in the game. They're hard to do. Don't let anybody fool you that, I can dodge roars, reliably. It takes a ton of practice to know, because if you do it too early, you're going to get roared, and of course, if you do it too late, you're going to get roared. It just is what it is. I'm by all means I don't think I've only successfully dodged a roar maybe twice, and it's pure fucking luck. It really is. Could I study the monster more and find out when it actually, when the roar mechanic starts? Sure. But to me, that's kind of some sweat lord bullshit, and I really don't care for it. So, continuing on with the Balahara, does it belong in this zone? Abso-fucking-lutely. It 100% belongs in this zone. It is a sand-dwelling worm. It is stuck to the sands. It didn't come out here to go to the grassy plains where it gets more rocky and harder to traverse for this creature. It stays in the sands, and this makes sense. So, yeah, absolutely. And is it a Monster Hunter monster? Absolutely it is. The fact that it spits oil, it's a very fanciful creature. It's the first fanciful creature that we run into in the game. And it absolutely belongs in this zone, belongs in Monster Hunter lore. It is an incredibly cool monster to engage. And like I said, it should be the second monster that you engage in your hunts in this area. So hopefully those three monsters have been very helpful, learning a little bit more about them, kind of their zoology, their taxonomy, their attacks, how you should engage, what it takes to bring one down, and so on and so forth. The Balahara isn't that bad. There are other certain circumstances of fighting it that you might, have a little bit more difficulty with it. But yes. And like reviewing, of course, the Doshaguma, or Gama, should be the third thing that you engage. This leaves us with a couple more monsters left. One that, in my personal opinion, is kind of an invader in this zone, and two that are very interesting. So let's actually go back to base camp. And we're going to get ourselves a meal and stock back up on our supplies. Remember, after every successful hunt, it is a good idea. I could have done it at that base camp that we're at, that outpost that we were at. I could have done this, but hey, I like doing this stuff. It's fine. I have my own personal preferences, as anybody else will have their own personal preferences of how they want to conduct themselves in the game. That is called immersion. That is called getting yourself in touch with the game and feeling those vibes. Sizzle, baby, sizzle. God's queen. Sizzle, baby, queen. Slay, queen, slay. Alright. Okie dokie. So, now, when we go to this quest counter here, there are 3 left. There's 3 monsters left, so we're halfway through this area. We have Raidao, the Gypceros, and Arkveld. The next monster, now, it is said the Balahara is a 2, and the Doshugama is a 2. These are appropriate. I think they're perfectly fine. 3-star, 4-star. This thing, the Gypceros. I actually believe this should be a 4-star. reason being, when we talk about it, it is
Understood.
my least favorite monster. I think it is actually an invasive species to this area. I don't believe that it belongs in this area, and I will talk more about it when we encounter one. So let's see if we can find one on the map. I think I've seen one before. Yes, here we go. It's got 9 minutes before it leaves. Perfect. So the Gypceros. We're going to look at it first and why I feel the way I feel about it.
Make sure to grab anything the monster leaves behind.
Okay, so looking at the Gypceros, what a fucking weirdo. This thing is weird. That's all I can say. It's weird. The first thing about it, it looks like a dodo bird that smoked too much meth. It's also aggressive, and as you've seen there, it just spat at me. And what it just spat at me was incredibly bad. It is poison. That poison there is incredibly annoying, and it just spits it everywhere. And it has no qualms about doing it. It is a bastard. This monster is a bastard. And that's not all that it does. As you see there, it has a fucking gummy worm of a tail. It loves to use that tail. It absolutely catches you off guard. And so the poison will poison you, draining your health. It likes to spit often. As it dumbly walks around like it does there, like a stupid-ass dodo, it spreads poison everywhere. Luckily, the only positive about it is that it doesn't stay for very long. There's also something else that it does that I want to also point out. I'm sure it will do it here before too long. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It should, because it's part of its bastardry, as to put it. It's got like these bat wings. It clearly likes to run more than it likes to fly, although clearly, as you see there, it's not. It's very clumsy, and this is why I call it a dodo bird. It is stupid, it's slow, it's clumsy, but at the same time, it is very deadly and is very difficult to work with as a hunter. It also has an incredible health pool, and it's a fight that I do not enjoy. So, and, oh, here's the other thing. See that? It will flash and blind you. And if it blinds you, you stay on the ground for quite some time, and then it tries to slap you with its tail. It's just annoying. So we are going to engage this, despite my unwillingness to do so, and see how this turns out. You damn bird. Come back here. God, I hate this thing. Headfirst. That's the first time I've ever fucking dodged that. The first time. Do not let that fool you. I'm not that good. I do not normally dodge that. In fact, I didn't even know it was dodgeable. I didn't even know that was dodgeable. And then here's the thing too, but actually, and I shouldn't lie like that. Everything is dodgeable in this. Absolutely is. We might be able to get some cheese on this. Normally, I don't get this opportunity. Nice. Come on, get off. I don't like the fact that I damaged that. I don't know what the hell that is that I wounded, but I kind of feel bad for that one. See, now these slow tail attacks are just annoying. And I hate that they do knock you back there. Nice. I think I actually broke off that headrest. Come on, let me get on my sick leave. There we go. Ooh, that was close. I will personally say this has been the best combat that I have ever done with the Juiceros thus far. This is not normal. I'm just letting you know right now. This is not normal.
Might be able to use them as a trap.
And they always like to go up high. Like they finally like, oh, I got a pair of wings. Maybe I can just fly away. Poison pool. Ooh, I'm poisoned. Okay, so I gotta disengage. This is the best way to deal with this. Get your antidotes and immediately use them. I don't know why I'm using a whetstone. I did not select that. Come on, drink, girl, drink. That poison will kill you very quickly. And it won't stop either. You absolutely... Sometimes your Palico will, you know... Oh, shit. Will help you. Jesus. Oh my god. And they will provide you a antidote wasp until it's delivered to you. But most of the time, you're going to have to take care of it yourself. Keep going. Come on, get up there. Thank you. Top off my health real quick. Nice. let this fucking thing feel you. It is still alive. And when it comes back up, it will do a massive amount of damage. It's plain dead. I'm going to disengage from it because it's probably going to pop up any second. Yeah, that pop-up right there will do a shit ton of damage. I don't know why. It just did. Beautiful. Beautiful. That is how you do a Gypceros. Damn, do I hate this monster. Damn, do I hate this monster with a passion. It goes up here into this boneyard, which to me is, I assume that that's its nest, right? Like, this is kind of like its quote-unquote natural habitat. But this thing is so awkward and out of place for this area. I don't really know what to think. Let's see how long it took us to do this, because this is the fastest and best I have ever done with the Gypceros. This is not a typical encounter. 7 minutes. Wow, that's incredible. 7 minutes. Sub 10 minutes on the Gypceros. That's personal best. That is personal best on the Gypceros. So, key takeaways with combat. Stay the hell out of the poison. Just let it do its run animation. This is a touch and go monster. This is something that in the normal sense you just stay the hell away from. The other thing is get rid of that crest. Attack its head as much as possible and get rid of that crest so that way it doesn't flash stun you and smack you with that tail as you've seen. Now, the armor that I have on is actually specifically designed to handle this because the stun effects don't last very long. If you do not have stun defense on your armor, or I think it's like stun resistance where stun effects don't last as long on you, you will absolutely get hit with that tail and it's not a good day. Absolutely not a good day. Also, speaking of the tail, I have never been able to cut it off. I don't know if it can come off. It would be very nice if it did. It does get wounded. I have had plenty of times where I have just specifically looked at this earthworm fucking tail and have attacked it over and over and over again. And, you know, it never comes off. I have never been able to get it to come off. I have busted the crest before. Obviously, I busted it on this one and created wounds on pretty much everywhere else. So, players, who needs to engage this? I would say if you can comfortably engage the Doshugoma, and you can get it around 10 minutes or sub 10 minutes, to me what that tells me is you are pretty in tune with your dodging mechanics, you are in tune with your weapon, and you are in tune with disengaging your secret. Those three categories are absolutely necessary if you are going to take on one of these Gypceros. Then you also need to be able to be on the fly with your antidotes like I was. You absolutely need to get them fired off as soon as you get poisoned. You need to get on your secret and go to your antidotes just like this and use it. Immediately use it. It's just something when you fight these that you're going to have to do. So, does this belong in this zone? I don't really know what to say. I don't know if it does or not, because it's so alien to the other creatures in this area. But let's just take, for instance, that this is its lair, right? There's a bunch of skeletons up here, very rocky, craggy. For what this tells me, this might be something like a vulture. Right? It kind of looks like a vulture anyways, although I say it's a stupid dodo bird. But its claws really aren't curved like a predator. They're more for walking or running. And so, like an ostrich or something like that. So this doesn't tell me that it's good for grasping prey. The wings are obviously pretty underdeveloped for how massive this body frame is, so it's obviously not good at flying. The jaws are pretty much the only feature of this that has any merit. There are also sharp teeth, so it's good for crushing bone. They look more molarized, very thick, sharp teeth. So I can surmise that it is definitely a bone chewer. So I think that it grabs the leftovers of Doshagumas and maybe even Balaharas, and comes up here with the carcass and finishes off, you know, whatever scraps it can. I don't think this can hunt by itself. I don't think it's a proficient hunter. I think this is a scavenger. And with that, I would say that maybe it does belong in this zone, and that it's such a weird, wanky, wacky creature that it fits the niche of a carrion eater, which, again, by looking at this bones, I would surmise that's what it does. Again, this is not an apex predator. It's too clumsy, too doofy. Relies on poisons, which, you know, maybe that's how it gets its prey if it actually does hunt. But in the grand scheme of things, that's all I see it as. Is it a Monster Hunter monster? Absolutely. In fact, I think this is an absolute fucking jerk. This is a jerk of a monster. I don't like fighting them. And that's kind of how I feel with most Monster Hunter monsters back in the other games. Even in Monster Hunter World, a lot of the monsters I'm just like, this is meh. I don't really like engaging it. It is what it is. I'll do it because I need the materials, and that's the end of it. And this is something I haven't really talked about materials too. I have Balahara armor and Doshugama armor. So the materials that you get from those two that we fought, I think those are going to be the necessary things for you to survive in this zone and to carry on into the next zone. The Gypceros, we don't get the armor, or of course we don't get weapons for any of the monsters that we hunt here. But the Gypceros, there is no armor that we have, and I know this was a recent addition to the beta. So like I said, this feels to me like an invasive species, although I guess it kind of belongs here due to its tendencies for scrapping or scavenging. So I don't know what the Gypceros, like maybe it would probably give you poison resistance and other things. But yes, so players, I would say, unless you know your weapons well, are able to flip through your items down here like I am pretty quick, and you know where your items are. You're comfortable with dodging. You're comfortable with disengaging with your secret. I wouldn't touch them. They're just nasty, icky creatures. They're frustrating to deal with. I don't like them at all. Now, here's the interesting stuff. So we're gonna go back to base camp. And talk about the final two monsters. Whew, I don't know if I'm ready, but we're gonna have to be. We're going to have to be. Yeah, we're good there. Let's see. Always get your meals in. I mean, if you haven't learned anything from anime, it should be pretty obvious. Anime characters, especially the main characters, love to eat. There's a reason for it. Eating is energy, eating is success, eating is getting your strength back. Monster Hunter obviously just exudes this energy. You absolutely need to do this. Eat. Goku eats. Luffy eats. They all eat. And they eat exuberant amounts of food. Do not be shy eating in this game. Alright, well, there's only two monsters left. The Raidou. Raidou is the king, or the, I don't know what the proper word is to say. I don't want to say alpha, because that's not really what it is. It is basically the zone master. This is the monster that all other monsters fear. This is a boss. This is something that you do not engage unless you are well seasoned, that you understand your mechanics very well. Do you have to be good?
I'm happy to help
yes,
anytime.
yes you do. You do have to be good. Do you have to be a sweat? Do you have to be beast mode? Do you have to... No, not necessarily. You just have to be good. Now, Raidou can naturally spawn because, again, this is its zone. There is none on the map, but the best part about this is we can actually activate it. Raidou is aggressive, as it should be. that's right. I need to. That's something I always have issues with. Online single player.
I'll be waiting here.
Communication issues. I don't know if
Hard
that's a
at work?
Monster Hunter Wild thing or if it's my personal problem. I don't care either way. It is what it is. I can just swap to single player and we're good to go. So, wow, there's a lot to talk about right now. But we will talk more once we get there. The only bad part about this begin quest is like it starts the timer immediately. Granted, we have 40 minutes to kill this monster. Luckily, we will not have to take all those 40 minutes with this. Right now is a very scary monster. It is. If this is the first boss that you do face in the full release of the game, it absolutely is your grand taste of what you will expect. If this is your first Monster Hunter title, this thing is an absolute fucking animal. It is a dragon. It is a wyvern, a true wyvern. It's not related to Rathalos. It is its own thing. I don't know how far the aggro is, but we're going to walk around it. As you can see, it has lightning capabilities. It stores lightning in its horns, like like a catalyst, and it uses that lightning. And it doesn't use it sparingly. It uses it as much as it possibly can. It is a thick-hided monster. It is incredibly hard to wound, incredibly hard to damage. It usually comes out in lightning storms because that's its natural element. It acts as a lightning conductor itself. As you just see, look at that perfect timing. It will conduct electricity and use it against you. It is a terrifying monster. It is the absolute king of this zone, and it commands the respect of everything that it touches and is around. It is ferocious. It's the apex predator. That's probably what I needed to say. Apex. It is the apex predator of this area. Nothing matches it in its raw strength and ability. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But in its terrifyingness, it is also gorgeous. It is a beautiful wyvern, a beautiful creature, and it definitely demands respect. It hunts everything, it eats everything, it messes up everything, and it's actually focused on me right now. It's probably very curious about me. I'm going to run away from it a little bit because I'm not ready to engage just yet. Raidou is just a wonderful design. The roars that it makes, such a good monster. Does it belong in this zone? It belongs no matter where it goes, in my opinion. But the fact that this area is just electrified, the storms in this area are particularly violent, and so this thing thrives where there is thunder and lightning. So yes, it is the apex in this zone for a reason. It absolutely belongs here. Is it a Monster Hunter monster? Absolutely. Monster Hunter monsters, they love wyverns, right? Wyverns are its thing. That is, Monster Hunter that's what they do. They don't do traditional dragons too much. They thrive on wyverns, which is perfectly fine. We're going to see if we can lure this in this vine trap here. I think it's walking towards me. It's very, very sus of me. It's sniffing the area. Clearly it doesn't really think I'm too much of a threat. I don't think it finds anything as a threat because it's the one that decides when to engage things. I'm trying to have it walk over here. I don't think it's going to. That's fine. Ooh, it's flying away, so we need to chase it. Talked about it long enough. I was going to engage it down here because this is a nice wide open area. I think it's going to maybe its home zone or at least into the desert. Either is fine with me. We'll get up to it. It allows us to talk about it a little bit more. I don't know too much of the lore of Raidou. Now, as far as like talking about zoology and taxonomy and biology and stuff like that, like I said, it's pretty much an energy conductor, and it's a catalyst. It stores electrical pulses, mass voltages in its horns, and it's able to actually charge up electricity through its entirety of its systems. I don't know if it has organs in place for this. It might be completely external. When we fight a Raidou, most of what you see is an external. We're gonna get a sneak attack in here. We'll talk more about it later. That was lucky. So far, so good. So far, so good. So far, so good. So far, so good. A lot to talk about. A lot to talk about after this engagement. I do not like this area because this is like his zone. And the floor is not lava, it's electricity. And his electrical attacks are just that much more powerful. Like, see, it explodes with lightning. Much more violent in his deathly state, where he's getting more tired. Oh! Now that I did not see coming. Wow. Complete 360. Ah, damn. Couldn't dodge. Couldn't dodge. Couldn't dodge, that's fine. Next to guys can't this. Do not go in without replenishing your potions. Don't be dumb. Replenish your potions. You're fine on food. There's no reason. It's fine. We have so much time left. We're good. This isn't supposed to be a quick fight either. So just don't be discouraged. Grab your potions. Make sure you got them. Damn. And you know, make sure you're topped off on your sharpness. And re-engage the enemy. Looks like he's coming out this way again. I feel like he's getting close to death. He should be pretty close. It would be nice if he picked a fight with a monster, because that would be extra damage that we could rely on happening. So. Looks like he's leaving again. Can we do a sneaky snakes? try to dodge his roar, but again, these are incredibly hard. Whoa, come on. That was incredibly lucky. I dodged it. Come on down. I don't want you on the other side. I really don't want to fight you on the cliff side. It's not optimal. Lucky. What? No, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? 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 Why would you do that? Why would you ever think that was okay? Oh my god. That attack, if you're in front of it at all, will destroy you. So we got one more try left. Well, yeah, technically this is it. Again, this is fine. We almost got it. Raidao is just a health hog. Like, that's just how it is. Oh shit. That was not nice. But this also means that we do have to fight a little bit more carefully.
You can carve materials off of small monsters as well.
Yeah, that tail carving was absolutely just unnecessary. I mean, I pressed triangle circle at the same time to do a dismount attack, but apparently it prioritized the tail. I don't think that should be necessary. I think that should be disabled while you're fighting a fucking monster. Like, I don't... That was terrible. I'm waiting for a big attack. Got plenty of time left, but like I said, I'm taking this more slowly now because I am on my final life. Right now is almost down, so there's no reason to rush this battle whatsoever. And of course, I'll explain why not too long. Hopefully, successfully. Yeah, he's flying very terribly. Oh shit! Did not realize I was gonna hit it. Trying to open up that wound on his face. Open up the wound. I think I... Yes, I did. On his wing. Great. I'm gonna use that. Definitely use your focus. This is another thing, too, that champion monster hunters will use. Use your focus, for God's sake. If you do not use your focus, you're missing out on so much opportunity for really, really good damage. Sits on this wing. Got it. It's on his head now. Ah, shit. Got it. Got his wing. What the fuck? Thank you. Shit. Not sloppy, we're just getting unfortunate with some of these mishaps. Got it. Do his thing. Just let him do his thing. Try and get some quick strikes in. to do a big attack. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. That was a potentially life-altering event. Yeah, that's why I do not like this area, because that lightning will explode. See that aftershock there? It's not good. Oh shit. Did not realize he was, oh, didn't want to use that, that's fine. Again, I'm waiting for an enormous lightning attack so we can get in there and do some damage. It's one of them, not the biggest one. Nice. Nice. We got it. Ray Dow is down. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. What a fight. Now, a lot of things about this fight. I mean, really, you kind of seen exactly how you need to engage this guy. You just gotta be, yeah, do some high fives. That was good. Good. Ray Dow is not supposed to be this, easy. Now, I've killed Ray Dow in 18 minutes before. So I've definitely done it, but I've also had the help with other monsters. I've had better environment. I've been able to get rocks on them, things like that. So there are going to be moments where you can definitely sub 20 minutes Ray Dow. There's, of course, people that are like, I could beat Ray Dow in 5 minutes. Skill issue. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck that shit. Like that, no. Just that. Don't worry about those people. They're the 1%ers. Don't worry about it. You just seen how a casual player beats Ray Dow. This is something to expect. That's an actual expectation when fighting that creature. You also have to take into consideration too a lot of things that people don't realize with the beta. I'm using really shitty armor, and I'm using the very first weapons that you get in the game. This is not something you will be doing when you encounter Ray Dow. This is a completely unrealistic thing to do. It's insane. It's an insane thing to take on Ray Dow with the armor and weapons that you have at your disposal in this beta. He's really not meant to be soloed. That's the point. Ray Dow, you should never feel ashamed or bad of getting into a party with people or using the NPC hunters to help you out. 30 plus minutes to fight a monster is a lot of time. That's a lot of energy, and that requires a lot of focus. Like I'm having a partial sweat right now doing that fight. And obviously doing it solo and killing it, beating the monster, doing this gives you a great ego boost, whatever. For me, it's just, it confirms for me that I'm a really good hunter and I'm able to take care of myself. And really what Ray Dow is, if you solo Ray Dow, that means that you will be an asset to a party. You can comfortably say, I have my dodges down, I understand when to engage, when not to engage. So using my secret for my benefits, knowing when to use potions, knowing when to sharpen my weapons, all this stuff. You should, by the point in time when you are, battling Ray Dow, or you decide to take on Ray Dow, you should understand these things. Not so much inside and out, because I like to leave people a little bit of room for error. Obviously, I died twice. I was on my last life. But, as you've seen with my last life, I was trying to play as carefully as possible. I was a little reckless to begin with because I had lives to play with. I was doing okay with my second life because I was doing alright and didn't have much issue, and I just happened to get caught in a bad scenario. And now I was down to my last life, of which, of course, well, if I lose, this half hour that I spent fighting this great wyvern is going to be for naught. I don't get any prizes, I don't get any money from it. I did harvest the fucking tail unintentionally, so at least I got that. But in the grand scheme of things, well, it would have been a waste of time. That's something you also have to realize too, is when to call it, when not to call it when fighting these monsters. But if you are able to accomplish a solo kill on Raidou, just know that you are going to be an asset to a party. That's really what that proves. It shouldn't prove like, oh, I'm the best hunter out there and look at me go. No, fuck that shit. That's way too much ego. That's not what soloing a monster should be about. Soloing a monster should be a test of your skill and ability, your understanding of your weapon, knowledge of your potions, your whetstone, your sacred, using traps and stuff. Like I used a few traps with, or actually only was able to get off one trap with Raidou. Normally I don't use traps. I pride myself, so ego and pride are completely different, although they're kind of hanging on the same branch there. I'm prideful for what I can accomplish, so I'm confident when I run into Raidou that I'm able to handle him. And obviously I was. Granted, again, wasn't perfect. I have solo killed Raidou before. I think I did it in a previous video where, you know, it's like I didn't lose any lives, or maybe I lost one life. I can't remember. Watch the episode, you'll find out. But yes, so Raidou is something that is a team effort. So when you're first starting Monster Hunter, you're first starting out on your adventures, you've got upgraded armor, upgraded weapons, that's when, and you have an understanding of the weapon that you're using, that's when you should be attempting Raidou. And you really should be doing it with a party, whether that be other players or just simply, you know, the NPCs that are afforded to you, which is fantastic. I love the fact that you can get NPC players, you know, because their deaths do not count against your failure or success rate. You know, relying on other real players kind of sucks because, you know, you have to make sure that they don't die. And that's kind of a gripe that I have with the game in general, is that why should I be taxed? Why should I be punished for someone else's failure, for someone else's mistake? I don't think that's fair. And then, so you top that off though, see Raidou usually appears during these thunderstorms. So let's see where he's at. Yeah, so he's over here now. But like I said, you shouldn't be punished for it. And here's the thing, you know, you got 4 other people, so technically, not every player can lose their life once. Only 75% of the players can lose their life. And really it's only 2 players, so 50% of them, because the next person that dies ends the fight. So really you only have 2. I don't think that's fair. I think there should be 5 lives in a party. And it shouldn't matter how many players it is. If you have at least 1 additional real player on your team, you should have 5 lives to work with. That way, both players can technically go through both of their lives, and then the next death is the one that ends it. That's fair. I don't know why that's something that, you know, this isn't some weird competition game. Everybody's here on a team. There's no PvP involved. There's nothing, you know, there's no reason to have... Excuse me. Let me take a drink. There's no reason to have punishment systems in place. Really. Even the fact that losing 3 times to a monster, I really don't see that as something that should be really existing in the game itself either. I should be able to fight it as long as I want to. Now, granted, I do see, like, if you're not getting it by the 3rd try, I mean, maybe you're just, you know, you need to practice more, or you need to get luckier on a different version of it. But again, you know, like I was saying, 30 minutes... I'll walk back inside, I'm sorry. I feel bad for my character. You know, if you're spending 30 minutes on something, and then it's because you ran out of lives. And sometimes there's just glitches in the game. There's sometimes, you know, your animation locked. There's sometimes where, you know, something's out of your control and you weren't ready for it, and you know you get killed. And so, you know, it sucks because it's a waste of time for the player. It's not really respecting the player's time for something that might be out of their grasp. Now, streamed for quite some time today. I think we've gotten a lot of knowledge on the monsters and how to fight them. That's pretty much the main of the zone. Obviously, we have one last monster.
Hard at work.
And here's the thing. Why I really don't want to get into this. Arkvald, or Arkveld, is the you know, the box legendary, if we're talking about Pokemon or something like that. It's the box legendary. It's the monster in this game, allegedly, although I'm sure there's Elder Dragons. Who knows what else is going to happen. Obviously, the DLC that comes out with this game is going to have other monsters, and who knows, probably something even greater than Arkveld, which I'm sure that's what's going to happen. Arkveld is just the base game's ultimate monster. I'm not going to fight this thing. This isn't... I don't give a shit what anybody else says. I don't care what anybody else says. Just like I told you with Ray Dow, soloing Ray Dow right now with the gear that we have available to us is insane to do. You shouldn't be able to do it. Really, truly. I believe this. I shouldn't be able to solo Ray Dow. And in fact, just the fact that it takes so long, like, you know, you got a 50-minute time limit on this guy. It took me 33 of those 50 minutes to kill it. You only get 20 minutes with Arkveld. I've tried. I've actually came close, not to soloing Arkveld, but with a team of NPC players and sometimes with real players, I've gotten close. But even with a team of 4 actual players, we still weren't able to beat the time limit. This should tell you enough how Arkveld is really unsoloable, and it's really hard for teams, and there's a reason why it's called advanced. And this isn't even a final form of Arkveld. There's an unchained variant that we'll never see because that's for the full release of the game. This guy here is going to probably take every bit of almost those 50 minutes to even remotely get close with a 4-person team. That's the idea. Arkveld doesn't belong in this area. This isn't there. It's when there's fights, you can look at my previous videos. When Ray Dow and Arkveld fight each other, Arkveld absolutely just destroys Ray Dow. Absolutely destroys him. And you know, it's nothing. We're pipsqueaks to Arkveld. So I'm not going to fight him. I'm not going to attempt to do it. I don't need to talk about him. He doesn't belong in this area. He's a completely otherworldly wyvern being. I think he's an undead. I don't know what the hell it is. It's a supreme predator. There's apex predators and there's supreme predators, and then of course there's the elder dragons themselves. So with that all being said, this is a zone that I can't wait to grind out the gear. Can't wait to upgrade the weapons, which is just like something I'm chomping at the bit to get. I want weapons. Please, Gemma, give me some weapons. Because if you take anything away from all the combat that we've done on this stream thus far, with the Chatacabra, the Doshagoma, with the Balahara, with Ray Dow, my voice is very dry, and I'm trying to wet it, so I apologize for any coughing that you hear. You know, you can do this with nominal gear. It requires you to have a good knowledge of your character and your weapon and the fundamentals of the game. But just know that this will be many X easier for you as a beginner player, beginner Monster Hunter, or even, you know, obviously this is not a message for those that play Monster Hunter games at all. Once you get your gear, which is important. Obviously, one of the most important things. Once you get your gear and your weapon upgrades, you don't fear these monsters as much as you might, or be discouraged that when you're doing these monsters for the first time and you're not getting it and you keep dying. Don't worry about it. Don't let it discourage you. You are supposed to have better gear when you're fighting a Dosha or a Balahara. You're supposed to have better gear. Your weapons should be better than what you're using in this beta. Okay? So just keep that in mind when you're playing the beta for these last 2 days. And the full release of the game is going to be that much better. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to stream this again. Because I have to go to work tomorrow, and I think it's good till the 17th. I might be able to get on it later that night. No idea, but I already have the game pre-ordered. We are ready to rock and roll with Monster Hunter Wilds. So if I don't see you in the next stream, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for watching. The few people that do pop in, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope this has been a really good learning experience for all of you, and that you go out there and start hunting. You have yourselves a good rest of your night.